From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And Corey Clark.
Back in my zone and I'm focused. Please don't start no commotion. That plan,
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, a world without preseason polls. Where should Florida State be ranked after 5 weeks of the season? A small request for the second half of the season out of the Seminoles, and all the storylines across the country after another crazy week of college football. Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida, cptallybar.com. Noles were off last week, but you can still have a victory burger because that's all they've been doing is winning. So carry on the tradition. Have your daily lunch over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill between 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on weekdays. There's a lunch special waiting for you. Mondays, half-pound black Angus burger. Not like imitation beef, not just like ground beef, ground sirloin. Half-pound black Angus. Get you some. Also a side dish. It's delicious. Don't miss out, Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. And tomorrow, Tuesday, trivia night, 7 p.m. sharp at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Thumbs up, please. Maybe now, maybe afterwards if you want us to earn it. But we're going to do that. That's what we don't mail anything in here, Corey. We bring it every single day. So let us indeed bring it. How are you, friend?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Thanks for asking. I'm back in Tallahassee. I've been gone for 9 or 10 days since before the Clemson game, but I'm back now for the month-long homestand.
All right, nice. Yeah, let's say, man, I'm excited. I'll be able to see you in the flesh at the Monday presser with Norvell coordinators. All right, well, let's get to it, man. Not a lot of preamble out there. I guess we can talk about maybe later on what we saw around the country, but I guess kind of in a roundabout way, we will talk about that from the jump because the polls did come out. Florida State held firmly, 5th in the AP poll. Shout out to the writers. Coaches, though, got, I guess they had to do something. They felt like if they didn't do anything because they're coaches, they'd be mailing it in. So they decided to drop Florida State one spot. And listen, I don't, Corey, you don't want to do it either. I don't want to speak for you. I'll let you say it. But we don't want to be the guys that come here every Monday morning. We're like, hey, the polls, this is ridiculous. But Florida State didn't play a game last weekend, so we only have a very surface-level scout on Virginia Tech for you right now. But I don't know, let's clean the slate, Corey. Where would you rank Florida State if there was no such thing as preseason football rankings? Because we don't have that for Heisman Trophy candidates, right? But we've got people jockeying for position. Just based on games now, and maybe some reputation stuff, but if there was no preseason poll, where would you have Florida State ranked right now, do you think?
I would probably have, if we're taking this weekend into account too, I think I would probably have them second.
Ooh.
Number one, I think Clemson's good, man. I think by the end of the year, there's a chance that especially what happened Saturday night in Oxford. There's a chance the win at Clemson will be a bigger deal than the win over LSU, just because they can't stop anyone right now. That was absurd. That entire game. They still almost won it. It's not like they were blown out, but they still got to play Alabama and A&M. It's just there are multiple losses left for them.
Auburn will probably be tricky too.
Well, yeah, I think maybe Auburn's the one team that they can slow down because they can't throw it all. But then Michigan. I just think Michigan's looked like the best team in the country. The problem with Michigan is they haven't played anyone, but they will.
Right.
That's the beauty. Is like we know they're going to play. They got Penn State and Ohio State. But what they did on Saturday to me, and I'm a weird dude. I get it. I say things are really impressive that maybe other people don't think are that impressive. I think what they did at Nebraska on the road to completely dismantle a team that thought it was playing pretty well and has a good defense. Mm-hmm. And they just completely trashed that team for 4 quarters. It wasn't competitive at all. In a game I thought would have been competitive, at least into the 3rd or 4th quarter. They just did what good teams are supposed to do, right, Aslan? They went out and dominated. And nobody else is doing that but Michigan right now, right? Georgia certainly wasn't impressive.
I just feel like, I don't know, we have to almost retroactively go back and yell at our previous past selves then for being upset about Florida State getting disrespected in 2014 if we're ready to drop Georgia behind Florida State at this point.
Oh, well, you said if there weren't preseason rankings, I wouldn't drop Georgia right now.
No, there is a preseason rankings, but we're also, we're not just eliminating. We're not doing a total vacuum here. There's also kind of the fact that this is the two-time defending champ. I want to factor in some of that stuff.
There's nothing they've done. There's nothing that team has done. I mean, people got upset. A lot of Florida State fans got upset because it was like the Florida State offense was essentially throw it up to Johnny, throw it up to Keon, and hope. Well, tell me what Georgia's offense is, because it's essentially just throw it to number 19 and go win the game. They did nothing for 3 quarters, and they start throwing it to that goofball who's incredible. And they win the game because even on 3rd and 12, where he's double covered, they just throw it. But Beck throws it to him anyway,
like a back shoulder throw down the seam. It's ridiculous.
One-handed, crazy, and I don't think he was trying to throw a back shoulder. No. Brock Bowers just made him look like he was trying to throw a back shoulder. Yeah, man. I just and you think about Georgia, like we talked about. Now they've played 2 Power 5 teams. In 2 games against Power 5 teams, they've scored a total of 13 first-half points. And they've been down in the 3rd quarter of both games. They were down in the 4th quarter against dare I say, a mediocre Auburn team. And I'm not trying to – I don't want to diminish road wins.
Rivalry win, too. Rivalry win against a tricky little freaking coach.
I'm just saying if there were no numbers beside these teams and we're just looking at what we've seen,
right,
the eye test and the resume test, what Georgia has done isn't any more impressive, honestly, than I don't know what Louisville has done. I mean – just pick another undefeated team. Georgia's played 2 teams that are Power 5 teams, both mediocre SEC teams, and they've struggled with both mightily. But they won, so good for them. They won. I think Michigan, to me, has not struggled really with anyone. I don't know that they've been in a game in the 4th quarter this year yet, but that's coming, and that's the beauty of it. What I think, if we want to talk about this weekend, since Florida State wasn't playing, Duke is legit. They blew that game. They should have won that game, in my opinion. Just giving up a scramble on 4th and 16 to a kid that did not want to scramble at all, but you gave him no choice, and then your quarterback got hurt. But that defense, I would say Clemson and Duke probably have the 2 best defenses on the schedule, and you got that one coming up in a couple of weeks. I think they're legit. We'll see what Miami is, but I think Miami's legit. Syracuse lost pretty convincingly to Clemson and now has North Carolina. So when they come in a couple weeks, they might be, a little banged up and probably 4-2. But you look ahead, if Miami, Clemson, and Duke are all pretty good, and then let's say you play North Carolina or Louisville in the championship game if you get there. The reason I bring all that up is because LSU, the LSU win is going to continue to lose steam. Is it fair? I don't know. But is LSU in November the same team that Florida State beat in September? No. But that defense is absurdly bad, or was on Saturday anyway. And they're probably going to lose 2 or 3 more games. So a top 5 win now becomes a win over a 5-loss team. So you lose a little luster there. The point being, if you want to get to the playoff, pretty good chance you're going to have to win out. You agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I think
unless LSU writes the ship right, or if Clemson Clemson could finish 10-2. They could finish on an 8-game winning streak or whatever.
They've got to go. They got Wake Forest this week. They've got to go to Miami. They got to go to Raleigh to play NC State. Then they host Notre Dame. And then they also host North Carolina in late November, and then they got to play South Carolina. If they go 10-2, then that Florida State win.
That's a great win.
Is an incredible win. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great win. Yeah.
Yes.
But I think I think that's a better chance of at the end of the year the Clemson win being as impressive or more impressive than the LSU win, just from what I saw on Saturday. Because again, that LSU offense was great. I don't know how great it is. Ole Miss never plays defense. Yeah. But that defense was just real disappointing in that game. And, we'll see how they respond to giving up over 700 yards of offense. But, yeah, I think Florida State is in a great position. I personally think Michigan has been the most impressive team. Just, again, like I said, it's not in college football, you just don't go on the road and hammer teams consistently like Michigan. Well, we'll see. I won't say consistently. Yeah. They've done it once. But that was just a really impressive win, I thought. But 2 weeks ago, LSU did the same thing. Beat Mississippi State a lot worse than Alabama just beat Mississippi State. And then look what they looked like 2 weeks later. So that's the beauty of college football, man. You never know. The Eagles almost lost to the Commanders in the NFL. How's that happen? How in the world does that happen, that game goes to overtime? It's just, survive and advance. They're in a good spot. What do you think, Aslan? Did you watch any of the Syracuse-Clemson game?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Good defense. Clemson for sure. Certified good defense.
Oh, yeah, they're a great defense. But what did you think overall about the flow of the game? I felt like Syracuse gave them some points for sure. Kind of fumbled the game away pretty early there. I thought Klubnik looked rattled at times, but then made some remarkable throws. And apparently number 6 is the best player they have on offense. That guy was great, the Tyler Brown kid.
Yeah, man. I think he's a 3-star true freshman as well.
Yeah.
Which is,
I think when I was watching the playback of the FSU Clemson game, McDonough was talking about how his coaches had to beg for him to get recruited.
Yeah.
And then he turns into that guy, just an absolute weapon. But yeah, I thought Clemson's defense was really, really good.
I also think Garrett Schrader's not a really good college quarterback. Period. He's not. I mean, throwing.
He's not a good throwing. He's not a guy that's going to make a lot of great throws.
And he slides, man. He'll scramble for 4 yards, and he'll slide in the middle of a massive humanity. He doesn't even, as being a big guy who seems to make his bones running the ball, he does not embrace contact at all either. So he's a really sort of
you wouldn't either after that.
He
maybe started sliding after that first hit where he got blindsided and fumbled. Yikes.
Fair.
That was a monster hit. Man, Clemson just does not play on that side of the ball.
No.
And you watch – the one thing I will say about when I watch Michigan and Clemson and Georgia, they probably have more overall NFL talent than Florida State. I don't think that's disputable. Penn State, too, for that matter. They have more –
significantly. Maybe Texas, Michigan, I guess Georgia just – their reputation
Alabama
precedes itself.
They're good, but I don't know,
man. This Alabama team, I don't know. Not right now. Maybe.
No, I think defensively, man, they're no. I mean, you saw what Ole Miss did to another off defense, and what did they score? 1 touchdown against Alabama.
Yeah, Nick Scott Lane's number, but
that's true. But the point being that what I would like to see, and we'll talk about this a lot, I'm sure, this week, and then moving on for the rest of the month is. Man, I want to see that aggression that we saw against Clemson. I just want to see it, man. I do not. The more I watch college football, because remember, I don't get to watch a lot of college football games. I'm watching Florida State. I don't get to see a lot of other teams play except for highlights. But I sat and watched all of the Clemson game, all of the Georgia Auburn game. There was another game that was going on at noon. Colorado USC. Wasn't much of a defensive effort there. So we won't worry about that. But you see these other teams, Penn State, I was going back and forth with that when it was still a game. These defenses are so aggressive. They're at the line of scrimmage, and they make you beat them quickly. If you're going to beat them on a blitz, they make you react to them. And Georgia gave up some plays, and that quarterback ran for 100 yards on them. But they are in it. You just don't have the overall talent that Georgia does. But that doesn't mean you can't. Just because you have a front four that should be able to get home, doesn't mean you can't blitz more. And I'm really curious because this kid that Virginia Tech has looks like a runner.
He is.
He's 230 pounds, so it's a little different, but he's a runner too. I don't want to see a bunch of standing at the line of scrimmage. Go attack and go. What'd you say this kid's making his 4th start?
I think it'll be his 4th start, yeah.
And he's coming off a good game. So he might have some false confidence coming in this one. Do not let him just make him make decisions very quickly and under duress over and over and over again. Bring blitzes from different places. And I'm not just talking about bringing them from 15 yards back. Watch all these games, man. Watch the NFL. When it's 3rd and 8 in the NFL, or if it's 3rd and 8 against Georgia, Auburn has a good defense, it would appear. Texas A&M has a very good defense. You've got 6 or 7 guys at the line of scrimmage. They're not all coming. But when you see 6 or 7 guys at the line of scrimmage, and then 3 of them peel back, but you don't know which 3 are peeling back, it just confuses everybody more, man. It confuses young quarterbacks. And the reason you started playing better in the second half against Clemson, in my opinion, is you started bringing it from different angles, and you confused a young quarterback. But I want to see it even more aggressive. I don't – the thing about the Deloach play that gets lost is, a half a second later – they might score a touchdown. Clemson might be scoring a touchdown. He came from so far back, and now that's why the running back didn't see him. It's because the running back's like, there's no way he's coming. It's been 4 seconds since we snapped the ball. There's no one for me to block. But they gave up a play early in the game. I didn't even bring this up last week, Aslan. I don't know why. I know I'm rambling. I apologize. But there was a play early on in the first half where Shaheem Brown was coming on a blitz, at least it looked like it, from 18 yards away. And he came so late from so far away that he stopped himself.
Are you exaggerating, or was it really 18 yards?
No. He was playing the normal free safety position because they don't want to give anything away pre-snap, which I get. But as the ball is being snapped, maybe not 18, maybe 12, he starts sprinting towards the line of scrimmage. But by the time he gets near it, he realizes, well, I can't get to him, so he stops. And as he stopped is when Byron Turner is having a wheel route completed over him down the right sideline, in a place that Shaheem Brown would have been if he hadn't have needlessly blitzed because he started from so far back. I just want to see more stand-up in the gaps, pressure defense, because I see it from all these other teams, and good teams. And I think the reason I bring this up, Florida State is on the level of Michigan. And I'm talking about national championship hopes this year. They're on the level of Penn State. They're on the level of Ohio State. Level of Duke, clearly. Start playing defense like that, man. Start being the aggressor. That's what I hope I see this Saturday and then moving forward.
VitaminEnergy.com, promo code Warchant BOGO. That means buy one, get one free. Warchant, BOGO, over at VitaminEnergy.com. I recommend the Ultimate Variety Pack Plus, everybody. 12 bottles in the box, which is standard, but it's quite literally one of every single variety they have. Burner Plus, B12, 14,000, the Mood Plus, the Focus Plus. You got the Immune in there. Also, there's an extra strength variety now, Corey. There's an extra strength strain, which what I think it is that it's got green tea extract in there on top of the caffeine. So they're keeping it all natural still with no sugar, but amping it up a little bit if you want to play with a little fire maybe. Get your day going a little bit better. Use the promo code Warchant BOGO. Again, VitaminEnergy.com. The products are now clinically proven to enhance your energy, remove brain fog, and increase your focus. Also, if you read the trade magazines, which I know we all do, their convenience store news called Vitamin Energy one of their best new products of 2023.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So hop aboard, everybody. Somebody tweeted at us that they were trying it out. They want to see if the hype was legit or not. Haven't seen them with their testimonial yet, so get on with it. We'd appreciate to see it.
Doesn't matter. We still sold it to them. Cha-ching. Check that box.
VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code WarChampBOGO. Shake it and take it. Corey, I'm glad you asked me what I thought my top 4 or 5 would be if we didn't have any kind of resume stuff right now.
Okay.
Maybe it's just me being the contrarian here. I think I put Texas 1. I probably put Michigan 2. I'd put Georgia 3. I'd give them benefit of the doubt as 2-time defending champions. I know what it's like to have that target on your back.
Well, and I'll say this too, right? Like, I think we should like strip away who even it is, just what we've seen from 5 games, without knowing what they've done the previous 2 or 3 or 10 years.
Oh, we're doing it on that. Okay,
but Georgia's
that's a real thing, though, man.
Georgia's defense is legit. That's no joke. Like
Auburn ran on them. Auburn doesn't have a good quarterback, but Auburn ran the ball on them.
Auburn ran on them because they had a quarterback that could run. And, of course, if you want to do that, you're going to be able to run on anyone, probably. But, they got, what'd they get, 220 yards? Now, Georgia's offense is nothing to be scared of, but that defense is, it's one of the best units in the country, like either side of the ball. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like Georgia's defense is as good as, are almost as good as I'll say as USC's offense.
Okay. Man, I'll put Florida State at 4. I'll put Ohio State at 5. And I'll be fine with that. And according to ESPN's metrics, which we don't like to use around here, but they just stripping it down to straight up strength of record, which reflects a chance that an average top 25 team would have this team's record or better if they had the same schedule. This according to ESPN, Texas is 1, Florida State's number 2, Ohio State's 3. So if it all ended today, I'd put Florida State in ahead of Ohio State at number 4.
Okay.
Which, 2, 4, as long as you're one of the last four standing. But again, the more football I watch this weekend, no matter what, a Big Ten SEC champ is getting in. Period. Point blank. Full stop. Big 12 champion, one loss, probably. Florida State, one loss. Yes, provided that there's a 2-loss Pac-12 champion, which I think is probably likely. They're all going to beat each other. Like Oregon's going to beat Southern Cal. Washington's going to beat Oregon. Like Oregon State's going to beat Washington. And then they're all going to play whoever plays in the in the Pac-12 championship game. Maybe they'll only have one loss, and if they can win and get revenge in that game, maybe at that point. But I think there's a high probability there'll be a 2-loss Pac-12 champ. That opens the door for sure for a 1-loss Florida State team. An undefeated ACC champion Florida State, though, for sure is at worst 2. They, don't get maybe the home field they want, but, provided there's nobody else undefeated. But that's probably unlikely.
I would think it's unlikely that somebody else will be undefeated. Look, man, I think, Georgia could be just because of their schedule. But, I mean, Georgia has to go to Tennessee, and they have not played. Well, we don't even know, man. They got to play Kentucky this week.
Yeah, watch out.
Kentucky's good.
Yeah.
That's no guarantee that Georgia wins that game. If their offense keeps playing like this, that's a real game. I just think, again, I say this every week, but when you watch these games, and again, I got a whole day. I had a party I went to on Saturday night, a 50th birthday party. Not for me. I'm way under that.
Clearly.
But for one of my friends. And we had the games on. We had the LSU game on and the Notre Dame Duke game on. But you just watch these games, man, and it's just Washington barely beats Arizona by 7. Georgia beats Auburn by 7. And both these games are close late, and those are good teams. I think Georgia and Washington are good teams. I think there are probably, Aslan, 15 to 20 teams that could get in the playoff. And probably 10 to 12 to 14 maybe that could win a national championship if things broke right. There are no great teams. The parity in this sport has become where everybody has a weakness or a flaw. Right now, Florida State has a flaw. Well, the way they start on defense is a flaw, but then also their rushing offense, is a flaw, and their pass defense. But they have strengths too. Clearly, they have a really good quarterback, great receivers, a great defensive line. But then you look at Georgia; they have a flaw. Their receivers don't do anything. Auburn, I don't know why I said Auburn.
Was that McConkey's first game back?
Yeah, it's his first game back. But it's Bowers and nobody else right now for them.
Right.
And then Alabama has a flaw. LSU clearly has a flaw. Penn State, the Penn State was down 10-3 late in the second quarter at Northwestern.
Yeah.
So none of these teams are just dismantling folks, except for Michigan and Nebraska. But that's what's so cool and worrisome about where Florida State is. Look, if Florida State keeps winning, I think the rest of college football will realize, oh yeah, man, wins are what has to matter here. There should not be anything as style points anymore. Those do not exist. They can't, because nobody is beating anybody by a lot. It just doesn't happen. Just be happy you're winning games. I think if they keep winning, everybody's happy. What's worrisome though is, man, there aren't going to be a lot of easy Saturdays for here on out. I don't expect you to go in Wake Forest and win by 4 touchdowns. You might not go to Pitt and win by 2 touchdowns. Who can know? All these teams struggle with teams that are quote unquote better than. So, point being that there's probably 5 games they could lose on this schedule. Not saying I'm not predicting they would lose 5, but if they don't play well, they could lose to almost everybody left on their schedule, just like everybody else we watched on Saturday. USC almost lost to Colorado, who was out of DBs, and they had a 28-point lead with the best quarterback maybe that's ever played college football, and they almost blew a 28-point lead on the road. It is just hard to win, man.
Well, the crazy thing is 3 weeks ago, we're if Florida State just plays their C game, they're probably going to be able to win, they'll probably be able to win out. And now that's changed.
I think so, maybe. They're going to have to play better against Duke. We don't know if that quarterback's going to be available for that game. But that Duke defense it's a really impressive unit. Miami is more impressive than we thought. I think here's the thing, though. When you have great talent or very good talent, like Florida State does, like Michigan, like Georgia, you can survive your C-minus games and still find a way to win. But you need to quit doing it.
Yeah, like Boston College, for example.
Correct. Well, I think that was a D- or an F. But if you play a C- game against Virginia Tech, you probably could win and maybe even win comfortably.
Yeah, at home. Yes, correct. Yeah.
If you play a C- game against Duke and that quarterback is available, you are going to lose. If you play C- against Miami, if you play C- at Wake Forest, you are probably going to lose those games. I think that's what's, in my opinion anyway, that's what's changed. But they're also due to start playing really well. And off a bye week, you just have to figure they will, especially against a not very good defense. You have to figure they will, but, we'll see, man. We'll see. It's a weird sport anymore. It's never going back. This is how it's always going to be. And every year you're going to hear people say, like, wow, it's a wild and crazy college football team. I guess nobody's great. There are no great teams. Man, it's like this is what the sport is now. Yeah. Just like, are the Eagles great? I think they are. I think they're one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
They had to go to overtime to beat the Commanders at home. Weird stuff happens in this sport, and there's a lot of parity.
Two quick things. Interestingly enough, you wonder, like, how is Georgia in this position, being back-to-back champions and only having a tight end seemingly to throw the ball to? I mean, they did go in the portal and steal the leading receiver from Missouri, the Dominic Lovett kid.
Yeah.
He has not really bared a lot of fruit. So it also goes back, this is like, pat yourself on the back if you're a Florida State fan, Mike Norvell, for identifying guys in the portal that are effective and productive from the jump. I mean, maybe this Lovett kid turns a corner eventually, but like right now they're not getting what they want out of him. And the question I did want to ask you before we pivot maybe a little more Virginia Tech and upcoming game, maybe we'll try to get somebody on the show this week that's on the beat up there in Blacksburg to talk about the team. But somebody tweeted at us, and they pulled it from some other tweet, so sorry whoever was out there that originally came up with this thought. But back like to the polls and the narratives that are out there, Corey. The Auburn game, and if you heard Kirby's interview after the victory, said that, anytime winning on the road in the SEC is tough. It's something to be like savored and enjoyed. Like, the whole talking about it's the SEC, you're on the road. This is what gritty teams do. They show their grit. Florida State going into Death Valley and beating Clemson wasn't received in that same sort of fashion. It was, I listened to the Rosillo podcast, who I love. I think he's pretty down the middle. In his open, he was just going through his top 12 and was like, Florida State, they should have lost to Clemson if they knew how to make a field goal. Then he brought McShay in later, Todd McShay, who had a bunch of stuff to say about Keon Coleman, thinks the number 2 receiver on the board. Doesn't necessarily think Johnny's going to go top 40, though. Like, maybe not even second-round pick, which is crazy, or at least top half of the second round. Jordan Travis he doesn't think is like a first 2-day draft pick right now, by virtue of the numbers that he uses. But I digress. McShay also said that Florida State should have lost that game to Clemson. I don't know how many people are saying that Georgia should have lost to Auburn, but is it the back-to-back champion benefit of the doubt, or is it just 15 years of SEC propaganda brainwashing all of us to believe that, anytime you play somebody in that conference, man, whoa, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. And the ACC is just meh.
I don't know, but I'll say this. If Georgia had played like they did at Auburn, at Clemson, they would have lost by 14 points. Clemson has receivers that can make plays. They have a quarterback that's sort of kind of coming into his own. They don't have a high school offense that isn't going to throw the ball down the field. Will that kid throw for 50 yards?
the Peyton Thorne kid? Yeah, not a lot.
Good night. And Clemson's defense is better than Auburn's. So they're probably not – maybe they would. I don't think they're going to let Brock Bowers just run free. Maybe they would. I don't know. But I think they might have had 2 people on him there at the end.
82 yards, 10 of 19, 82 yards.
Yeah, man. So if they'd have played like they did at Auburn against that Clemson, I think that Clemson – I guess I should put it another way. That Clemson team, I think, is much better than that Auburn team. And I think winning at Clemson is much more impressive, even in overtime, than winning at Auburn in the final 2 minutes. Especially when you're down, again, you just can't score in the first half against anybody. Georgia can't. 3 points against South Carolina at halftime, 10 points against Auburn at halftime. You have all these 5-stars everywhere. You got, like Aslan said, you got Missouri's best receiver. You've got the best tight end that might have ever lived. And you've got 3 points at halftime against the team that beat California 14-10. I will. So, I don't know. I do know that it usually all comes out in the wash in December or late November. We figure out what these teams really are. The problem is it fluctuates so much from week to week, man. It's just life. It's sports. It's how the best team in the major leagues loses 50 games a year. And how, again, the Eagles should have lost or could have lost to the Commanders. The Patriots would lose to the Dolphins occasionally with Tom Brady. Like, it's the problem with college football, in my opinion, the way we're looking at it now. And luckily, I do say this knowing that it all changes next year. It all changes. Would you care right now if it was a 12, like if the 12-team playoff model was in effect this year? Nobody's wringing their hands.
What
about
would we be
whether you're
talking
fourth
about,
or fifth.
though, Corey? What would we be talking about today, though?
I don't know. Well, you'd be like, you want to get one of those home seeds,
yeah.
or you want to make sure you get a bye in the top 4, but you know you're going to be in, and you know it's more fair than what this will be, because basically what this will come down to is, say Florida State loses again at home to Miami. Again, I don't even know why I put that out there. Let's say they lose in the ACC championship game to an 11-1 North Carolina. Well, then I guess North Carolina would go. So that would a 10-2 North Carolina team. They lose an ACC championship game.
Duke,
Michigan doesn't even make the Big Ten championship game because they've lost to Ohio State.
Yeah. No.
Who goes? Who goes? Who determines that? I'm not saying Florida State should go ahead of Michigan.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's preposterous. This is how we've done the sport for so long. It comes down to just people's opinions because nothing is really decided on the field. I think that's going to be taken care of next year. But for right now, I understand there's a lot of angst with good reason. If Florida State wins, I know it's a cliche, but if they win all their games, they have nothing to worry about. They'll be in comfortably.
For sure, yeah.
Maybe the number 1 team in the country.
I agree. I'll walk that back. I don't think anybody else would go undefeated. I think Florida State undefeated would be the only undefeated team, and they would not be treated like the 2014 team and seeded. We're third,
behind one-loss teams.
Third,
yeah.
Florida
behind
State
one-loss,
seed.
2 one-loss teams.
Yeah,
that would not happen. But so there have been some lessons learned. But I think the bigger issue now is you've got to start playing. You just got to start playing better offensively. Well, defensively too. You've got to start out games better defensively. I just want to see. Again, when I'm watching that Penn State game, I know this is completely different because Northwestern and Boston College are similar. Let's put it that way, right? Okay. They're pretty similar. Congrats to BC for getting another big win on Saturday, 3-point win against Virginia. But they're similar type programs. I knew Penn State's defense was going to take over that game. I knew I could watch. I watched 2 series, and I'm like, Northwestern's not scoring enough to win this game. Not even close. I don't think that about Florida State's defense. I hope I do.
Yeah.
They have, there's Virginia Tech's coming in this weekend. Let's see if they just put them away early and suffocate them. Let's see if they can go on the road and suffocate Pittsburgh. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, or Wake Forest. Make it hard. Just make it hard to score. The offense, I do think, will find itself and get better. The defense, that when I watch these other highly ranked teams that are vying for a playoff spot, it just, to me, looks like their defenses are a little more swarming, suffocating. I don't know what to say. Yeah. But we've had a bye week. We're 4 weeks into a season, and they're 4-0. And I do think that they will be better. I do think that hopefully the way Norvell talked after that game, that right after the game, and then did we talk to him on Monday? Tuesday
and Wednesday
of last week, when he talked about how much more aggressive they were, and then at halftime they decided they're going to react to us instead of we react to them. That needs to be the mantra, however you want to pronounce it, for the rest of the season, for the rest of all time. They react to you. Make them react to you.
You dictate terms.
Exactly right. Will they hit a big play? Sure, but they're hitting big plays on you anyway. But you're going to, more often than not, you're going to create a big play, and you're going to create a hurried, rushed play. And if you can do that, you are going to win a lot of games, because I still believe in this offense. I think this offense is one of the best in the country. I'd like it to go a little faster.
MyBookie.ag, promo code Warchant. Use that for an instant cash deposit bonus. You can bet on futures, whether it's teams win the national championship, Heisman Trophy winners. Will Caleb Williams be the first guy to go back-to-back since 74, 75, 76? Who knows? Bet on it, though, if you want. There's also a live casino there.
Is he the favorite on my bookie?
Yep, still is.
Where's Brock Bowers? Is he flying up the charts?
I don't know. I was going to go to a game line here.
Sorry, Aslan. I just ruined your read.
That's fine. It's never happened before. I'll figure a way out. I think Penix, last week Penix was ahead of him, but he no longer is. Caleb Williams is plus 174. Penix is plus 370. He's the number 2 guy. Jordan Travis now plus 1450. So.
Well, because he's out, idle. He's not doing anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He'll get a chance to go back up.
Get some big wins here.
I hope he's behind. I hope Jaden Daniels is down the list. Is he still ahead of Jordan in the Heisman odds?
Man, he is only – it's Jordan, then it's Dylan Gabriel from Oklahoma, then it's Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is still ahead of J.J. McCarthy from Michigan somehow. J.J. McCarthy's plus 3,000.
Okay, all right.
That's good value.
What about Bowers?
Brocky B plus 6,800.
There's the value, folks. Okay. I'm telling you, people are dying to vote for a not quarterback, especially a quarterback that's already won one. And Brock Bowers is going to have some chances in some big games to make some huge plays. And if he has a big SEC championship game, people will be like, you know what? I'm voting for that dude. There's nobody better than him.
Yeah, if he has a game like he did against Auburn.
In the SEC championship game against Alabama.
That'll sway some last-minute
That
voters.
Could sway some people. Just there's some pretty good value there, I think.
Yeah. Meanwhile, quickly, my bookie, Florida State, 25-point favorite over Virginia Tech. So you want to get suffocated. That sounds like a team that's apt to maybe get suffocated. 53, though, the total points. So, I don't know. It's like a 45-7 game kind of they're thinking. No, that's
53, yeah, 41 to, what would that be? 38 to 14, somewhere in there?
Yeah, there you go. That's even better. You got to read on it, everybody. Go to mybookie.ag. Use the promo code WARCHANT. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere over at MyBookie. So, yeah, Corey, 25-point favorite for Florida State taking on Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech went into the season with Grant Wells, who they heisted. It was a heist, man. They took him away from Marshall. And Marshall did not play nearly as good without him, and he has not played well at all in Blacksburg. Went out in the fourth quarter against Purdue, their second game of the year, and ever since, the reins have been handed over to Drones, Kyron Drones, who was a 4-star prospect, committed to Baylor, enrolled at Baylor, but then transferred to Virginia Tech. He's like 6'2", 220. Virginia Tech, I think, ended up winning 38-21.
Yeah.
The 3 scores by Pitt. There was 1 blown coverage. So Virginia Tech scored on their first drive. It was a beautiful deep ball that Drones threw. Go up 7-0, and then there was a busted coverage on the very next possession by Pitt to make it 7-7. I think it was 21-7, maybe 28-7 when Pitt threw a screen pass, and literally the Virginia Tech guy shoulder tackled him, but shoulder tackled him from behind and gave him like a speed burst, like in PlayStation. It was incredible. It sprung the Sibo Flemister to a touchdown, and then the other touchdown was a fumble, scoop and score defensive touchdown for Pitt. So Pitt offense maybe not all that explosive. Virginia Tech, though, was kind of in control for that game mostly. Drones, it's like 6'2", 220, Corey. They have a pretty decent running back behind him as well. They almost kind of run some triple option concepts with this kid because he is so big and because he can run the ball. But it's going to come down to winning on first down, which probably applies every single week, every single opponent that you're playing. But is this kind of like a tailor-made matchup for Florida State to at least shown like what they've learned against Boston College, put it into an action against a team like Virginia Tech, and really kind of put their foot down as they start the second half of the season?
Yeah, I mean, you look at what's coming up. Obviously, most of these quarterbacks can run. Your 2 rivals that are left on your schedule, those quarterbacks can't run. But everybody else kind of can. And Jerkovich, I guess Jerkovich is kind of an athlete. He used to be.
He's cooked, yeah.
Something's gone wrong, terribly wrong with him.
Terribly.
But this is good preparation for Schrader. For the following week too, because he's a bigger kid but can move. If he gets outside and gets loose, he can run. This kid, he only threw 19 times against Pitt. He completed 12 passes, but it was a good day for him. And he ran for 75 yards against Rutgers. So he's had some nice moments. It's just overall this isn't a very good team, and it should not be. It should not be close in the fourth quarter if you play anywhere close to your potential. And again, Aslan. Confuse him.
Yes.
Make it hard. I watch all these other freshman quarterbacks or guys that haven't played a lot of football, and they get confused and they throw it to you. Or they get rattled and they scramble and throw it out of bounds. Do that to him. Again, you did it okay at times with Klubnik. But I just thought Klubnik played pretty well, and I also think Klubnik's an NFL quarterback. And he's still making some first-year mistakes, but I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think this kid necessarily is a good quarterback.
No.
He's an athlete. He can make some plays, but go make him not want to run the ball anymore. Like the Castellanos kid was having a field day running on you. No. Like you should have made it like, okay, you can run if you want, but you're going to feel it. And you're not going to want to do this in the fourth quarter. And so instead, he almost ran them to a win. So I think that it's a good matchup in the sense that you've had a bye week. It's the worst team left on your schedule. It's at home, other than North Alabama and Pitt. I guess Pitt's the worst, right?
I was going to say
it's
Syracuse,
on the road.
But I think you're right. No, it probably is Virginia Tech. It probably.
I mean, Virginia Tech lost to Purdue, which turned out to not be very good. They lost to Rutgers by 3 touchdowns.
Lost to Marshall.
They lost at Marshall. No, it's a bad football team. So you should, again, I'm here saying appreciate every win. And if Florida State wins 31-30 on Saturday, look, you're still undefeated, but you are not going to feel good about this. You need to figure out a way to play and play well, and show that you can be maybe not an elite defense, but a very good defense. Show that you can be a very good defense. That'd be fun to see. This kid is not a great quarterback, not yet by any stretch. He can move around a little. Guess what? So can almost everybody else, including your quarterback. So go. He's gotten sacked 7 times the last 3 games. You can put some pressure on him. You can bring him to the ground. Get some quick 3 and outs, too. How about that, Aslan? We haven't even talked about that. Like, get off the field. Just get off the field. Give your offense a chance to get cooking early. So they've had 2 straight games where they've essentially had the ball once in the first quarter. Let's make that 3 times. And maybe you're up 14-3 at the end of the quarter, or 17-0. And you can roll, as opposed to your offense getting the ball for the second time with 12 minutes to go in the first half. Like, get off the field. Get off the field and don't make this kid look better than he is. By the way, Castellanos kid, another pretty strong outing.
Oh, okay. Bounce back.
I keep watching him. He threw a couple picks, but late in the game he led a couple of scoring drives to get them the much needed W against Virginia. By the way, did you watch the Colorado USC game?
Bits and pieces, yeah.
Yeah, I watched the end of it. I was talking to my buddies about this, and I know he didn't play great in the fourth quarter when they just fell apart. I don't know what happened there, but if I'm a Falcons fan, the Falcons aren't going anywhere this year. They looked horrible in England. I would trade if you thought Caleb Williams was really the next Patrick Mahomes. It's a lot of hype. It's a lot of pressure to put on someone. But say you were convinced that he is the next Patrick Mahomes, and you're the Atlanta Falcons GM. How many first-round picks would you trade to the Bears to get him?
Yeah,
I would say 5.
Yeah, 5.
Maybe 10. Who cares? You're going to be fired if it goes wrong anyway. You're not going to be there to rue the day that the Bears have your first-round pick for the next 9 years. But the point being, the Bears could have drafted Mahomes. They drafted Trubisky. Yeah. Now, if they went back, what would they have traded to get that Patrick Mahomes on their team?
Oh gosh, right.
Going back. It would have been worth the entire draft. The entire draft class. And then the next 3 first round. That's how important a quarterback is. And also I bring that up because that's how good I think Caleb Williams is. That guy is just next level awesome. It's crazy. But he also I want to see him play a real defense. Because we haven't really gotten to see that yet.
He'll play Oregon.
He will play Oregon, and the Oregon's tough, and he'll play Utah too, right?
I think so.
And Utah's tough. Utah, if they get their quarterback back, is a tough out, man, because their defense is legit. That is a good defense. I think Oregon has a good defense, so he's going to have some challenges. But that kid is awesome. I don't know if I'm going to vote for him again because it's like, come on, buddy, who are you, Archie Griffin? Come on. But yeah, I mean, golly, he's incredible, and I would think that the Falcons should offer any player on the roster plus your next 5 first round picks. Because if you get a kid like that, think about the Chiefs without Mahomes. Like, you get a great, all-time great quarterback, which you think Caleb Williams might be, it changes the entire franchise forever.
This is true.
So it's worth it. It's worth it. But, of course, it's not an exact science. So you might trade your first 10 your 10 first-round draft picks for a guy that ends up being, Ryan Leaf. Don't see that with Caleb Williams, but, yeah, I get it. It's a risk. That's why they get paid the money. But speaking of quarterbacks.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of quarterbacks, I still think there's a chance as we enter October, Jordan Travis can very much get himself into the Heisman race. He can very much win the Heisman. He's going to have to play better. Not that he's played terribly. He's going to have to play better. But people do not want to vote for Caleb Williams again. I promise you. And he does have the benefit, like that game, he gets to play against, a lot of those Pac-12 defenses are horrible. There's some that aren't, but there are a couple that are horrible, or most are horrible. But Jordan Travis is going to have some marquee games now. Like, I think Miami is shaping up. If they're 8-1, that's a big game. I think the Duke game, maybe. I know people can roll their eyes at Duke, but at Florida, people will be watching that. Like, as long as Florida State's undefeated, they are going to be playing a lot of big games, and people are going to be watching. And if he plays like the Jordan Travis we've seen at times this year and a lot of times last year, he can very much get himself in the Heisman race, and he can win it. Because he can get this team – if he gets this team to an undefeated season with the games they still have left, and there's going to be some close moments and some tense moments, if he makes the plays when it matters, he has a real chance to get there. I was thinking about that on Saturday too, just because there's nobody that's – Caleb Williams is the best player in the country, but it's hard to win it twice. After him, it really is a crapshoot as to who's going to be in New York and who has a chance to win this thing.
Agreed. Yeah. Although I don't know about the Duke game being marquee. I think
it would have helped if they'd held on there in that game.
Yeah, if Riley Leonard doesn't go down. But they're off this week, and I think they have another game after that. So, maybe he misses that one, comes back for the Florida State game. But he ran well, but, man, he didn't throw for anything against Notre Dame. So
it's like he looked at – well, that's the thing, and it's the same thing against Clemson. Like, he didn't look great throwing the ball to me against Clemson at all. No. But right now, Florida State doesn't have the same defense as Clemson and Notre Dame. They are easier to throw on than those two teams are.
Wait till
Ask
Akeem
Ohio
Dent
State.
comes back. Wait till Akeem Dent comes back.
Well, let's see. Hey, we'll get to see this week, right? Yeah. Maybe. I guess if we – well, folks, if we're talking about how good Akeem looked at practice, there you go.
Yeah. Southern Cal's already had an off week. They will host Arizona this weekend. After that, absolute murderer's row. At Notre Dame, hosts Utah, at Cal, hosts Washington, at Oregon, and then crosstown against UCLA.
Washington, too. Golly, that's crazy.
Brutal. And then if they hold on to all that, then they would play in the Pac-12 championship game. So I don't know, man. If they end up only losing one game, he might win it again. Because, that's a lot of good wins.
But you know what? I became convinced of something else, too, this Saturday, Aslan, as I got to sit there with my thoughts and watch football. I think Lincoln Riley wants it this way. If he had a dominant defense, what would be the fun of that? He wouldn't have a Heisman winner. Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray, they put up all these crazy numbers and points and yards because the defense can't get stops. And Caleb Williams, same thing. We got to keep throwing. I want to take them out
in the first half. I don't know what happened. That's why I stopped watching the game when they got up 41-21 or whatever it was. I'm like, all right, this game is over.
Yeah, it was crazy. But it was so they got up 35-14. Or yeah, whatever it was, 35-7. And it's close to being a blowout. And you're like, I bet if they get one more score or one more stop, this game will be so over they're all going to put in their backups. But no. USC's defense gives up that touchdown, so Caleb Williams has to go back out there and throw for another one. They give up another one. Caleb Williams has to go back out there and throw for another one. It's just how it always is. He doesn't want a good defense. I'm convinced of it. He wants to have a great offense and a Heisman-winning quarterback, an average to below average to awful defense, and then he's going to be the offensive genius, which he is. He's very good at his job, but it's going to put up these huge numbers. He's going to be able to recruit anybody in the country. He's already got the number one quarterback from 3 years from now. that's locked and loaded. Kid from Carrollton, Georgia, that's already committed to USC. Of course he should. Of course you'd go play quarterback for that guy.
His name is Juju something, I think.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's a sophomore.
Yeah.
Brady's grade. Incredible. Anyway, but he does it. So it's like, Caleb Williams is going to be forced to throw for 500 yards every game for them to have a chance because their defense is so bad. And that's Lincoln Riley's like twisting his mustache, like absolutely playing this perfectly. And in 2 years, when Caleb leaves, or maybe this year when Caleb leaves, I'm going to go to the NFL with him. Because I am an offensive genius. I put up all these points. How could you not? Even if he's just recruiting, like of course all the good quarterbacks would go play for him. He's going to win you you're going to win a Heisman when you play for him. You're not going to win anything of note. You're not going to win a championship because your defense is going to give up 50 points to everybody it plays.
Yeah, I mean Cliff Kingsbury made it to the playoffs. So if he made it to the playoffs and he was a sub 500 coach in college, I mean Lincoln Riley can maybe win a division title.
Oh, in the NFL?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it's like part of his master plan. It's like, look, I'm an offensive genius. You give me a defensive coordinator. The NFL's different. We all have the same amount of money to spend on defense. So give me a competent defensive coordinator to go along with my genius tactics on offense and Caleb Williams, and I'll win you 11 games. It's crazy watching that team. Like you're right, Caleb. If they only lose once, Caleb will probably win the Heisman again. He would definitely deserve it because that's one of the worst defenses in the United States.
Yeah.
And for them to go 11-1, man, he is extra human to do that with that awful defense.
And as it sits here right now, they play number 10 Notre Dame, number 18 Utah, number 7 Washington, number 8 Oregon. And I bet UCLA will be ranked by the time they play them again.
Dude, that's great. Yeah. But he could also lose 2 or 3 times, and then that's a wrap.
Absolutely.
That's a wrap.
I feel like we glossed over it, but what happened to Florida? I guess Florida's not back. Florida's not back.
That was
beautiful. That was just emasculating, right? I don't know. My brother told me, and I told you guys in the group chat, but they had I don't know how many possessions Kentucky had. It was incredible the amount of yards they had in the first quarter against Florida, rushing.
Yeah, beautiful. The kid had 200 yards by himself, I think.
Yeah.
He finished with 288 or something against them, and they came in as one of the best. Look, man,
what do they
one
feel
of the best
good
run defense
about
in the country.
There? It's still going to probably be a close game because it's a rivalry game and it's dumb like that.
Yeah.
But what do they feel good about down there right now? I mean, their quarterback completes 70% of his passes, so congrats.
Oh, they also one of the biggest plays in the game, but when it was still a game, was and I don't know the call. I could never see what they were talking about on the replay, but they had forced a punt. And then one of their guys ran into the snapper, and they kept calling it leverage or something. I can't remember. I couldn't understand what the rules analyst was saying, the official they brought on. But it was 4th and forever, and they're punting, and they do something illegal because they don't have a special teams coach. Remember, and their special teams have been horrific all season.
No, they don't have a special teams coach. They're called game changers coach.
Yeah, game changer coach. Well, it changed the game. Because Kentucky got a fresh set of downs, and literally, I think the next play, the kid ran 75 yards for a touchdown. Literally the next play, after they'd forced a punt on 4th and 22.
Leaping. It was a leaping penalty. One play later.
Why are you leaping on a punt block?
Napier said, "Tough break there. We're off the field. We get the ball midfield. Rookie mistake. We've got to settle in." Which I think is what he said after they did whatever they did in Utah in Salt Lake City too.
He really said tough break.
Yeah, tough break there.
Tough break there. We got to settle in. We're off the field. We got to settle in. That's the.
Put that on the Coach Speak episode.
Exactly right, man. That's exactly the reasoning you want to hear from your millionaire head coach. Tough break there. We got to get better at that. Yeah, we know, man. We know. So Florida did not look very good at all. Again,
they were ranked.
It's crazy. I know they were ranked
Tennessee.
Because they played they played a really good quarter against Tennessee. It was one quarter.
Singular. Yeah.
It was one quarter, and they played really well. But then the next week, again, nobody even talked about it. We didn't even talk about it on the show. You know how many touchdowns they scored against Charlotte?
No, that wasn't
a full game. One.
Yeah.
They won 22-7. They kicked 5 field goals. And beat Charlotte 22-7, and they're ranked.
Yeah.
So, that wasn't necessary. I guess I shouldn't have been. I just think I know the history of the rivalry, if you'd call it that, between Kentucky and Florida. So I just assumed Kentucky would play horribly.
3 in a
but
row,
no, man.
baby. 3 in a row.
No, and I tell you what, I was thinking about this too, and this is complete speculation. Let's say Norvell wins a national championship this year. That's what we all want.
Yeah.
And let's say next year he leads Tate and the Fighting Rodemakers to a 10-2 record. And then he's like, you know what? I want to go coach the Titans.
Okay.
I'm going to take my show on the road. I'm 43. I can go coach it. Now, I don't know how much his shtick would – and I shouldn't say shtick because that makes it fake. He's not fake. Everything he says he believes in, it's not a shtick. How much his philosophies would play in an adult locker room with 30-year-old men. But whatever, that approach. Yeah. But let's say he wants a new challenge and he goes coaches the Titans.
Bring Mark Stoops home.
Mark Stoops, man, has done a great job at Kentucky. A great job there. He is one of the most he reminds me a lot, and I think I said this last year, of Leonard at Florida State.
You used to say that like Kentucky was they were hanging on to Mark Stoops, and he could have easily been fired at one point in his career.
But then it's like Kentucky, like Florida State, realizes what they are in the sport. When I talk about Florida State basketball. Right. It's like, okay, are you really going to do better than Mark Stoops? What are you going to go get? 6-6 is fine as long as it's building to something. Well, 2 years ago, didn't they win 10 games?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this year they're 5-0. They're going to Georgia. I think they got a real chance to at least make that competitive, if not win the game. He's just done a really nice job there in a place that nobody has ever won consistently. He's been there for, good grief, 12 years now?
2 10-win seasons. 2 10-win seasons.
So he hasn't been incredible, but it's hard to be incredible there. My point being, he has proven that he can build and run and sustain a program. And if you can make Kentucky a consistent 8-win team, well, you can make Florida State a consistent 10 or 11-win team. Just throwing that out there. I don't know how he'd recruit. I assume a battle's end, it wouldn't matter. He can coach them, and that's all that really matters now anyway.
Yeah, I wonder because there's another tier, obviously, of coaching out there beyond being the head coach of Kentucky. And when those jobs come open, like you never really hear his name. But like if Ryan Day loses to Michigan again, and then maybe like next year loses to Michigan again, and they're like, we're going to move on. Like I know he's a Youngstown guy, so that's why I bring up Ohio State.
Oh yeah, I was going to say then they're going to Dion. Dion in Columbus, baby.
Touche.
Dion in Columbus.
Touche. There's some other stuff I want to get to about Virginia Tech, but we'll talk about it on tomorrow's show.
We got time, don't we? I can't believe how long was this show?
Almost an hour.
That's my fault, man. I was a rambling mess. I apologize. I'll be better, folks. We'll get to actually talk to Florida. It's been 6 days almost since we've talked to anybody from Florida State. Yeah. We'll get Norvell and the coordinators today. So tomorrow's show will have a lot more substantive Florida State info for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what other school has an off week and then they have a substantive podcast? That Monday. So don't be so hard on us, Corey.
Sorry, my fault. I was blaming me. You did great, Aslan. You always do. I was a little rambly today.
Could you feel the sarcasm in that comment, everybody?
That wasn't sarcastic. Come on, dog.
You get all the dripping sarcasm in your tray, boys and girls? All right.
Hey, by the way, how about old Taylor Swift at the Sunday Night Football game?
She's gorgeous.
Exciting.
I love her. She's just.
Oh, you do?
She's a treasure. Yeah. I'm not like a Swiftie or anything, but like what she represents to our country, I love it.
Oh, she's no. Yes, she's a little too tall for me. Not that she's wondering where she rates on the Corey Clark approval rating.
How tall is
I think she's like 6 foot, man. I think she's a giant.
Really?
No, she's
5'11", okay.
She's immensely talented and
and a great role model apparently.
I think I agree. I was about to say that. I think she really is a positive role model. I think my cynical side thinks there's something else going on here.
With her and Travis
with all
Kelce?
this attention with Travis Kelce. Like it's some sort of advertisement for her movie. It's some sort of way to get her movie out to more people. I don't quite understand it, but God
Kelsey's the one that's getting the bump. She's already mega superstar. He's the one that got like the 400,000 additional social media followers after she started being.
Get it right. It was 800,000.
Are you serious?
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
The only people I wouldn't want upset at me more than FSU Twitter or Taylor Swift fans. So.
She's she's one of the most famous people that's ever lived. She might be the most famous person in the world right now. Would you say that, or in this country?
Yeah. I think people would recognize her pretty much anywhere.
But, think of anybody else in the world that could be at a Kansas City Chiefs game, and then that becomes the national story.
Right, yeah.
There's nobody else like it. Presidents go to games all the time.
Yeah.
Now, if Elvis showed back up, that'd be a story, but I don't even know if that'd be bigger because he's not dating Travis Kelce. So he could date Kelsey's mom.
And Jerry Glanville's not coaching anymore, so he's not leaving tickets at the front for
there
Elvis.
There you go. Old school reference, folks. That's how we do it here on Wake Up Warchant.
Hopefully the Falcons get Caleb. It'll be fun, man. Drake London, Bijan Robinson.
That guy is awesome. Bijan Robinson is nuts. He's incredible, but he's only going to be incredible for about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get him a good quarterback because Desmond Ridder ain't it, and neither's the billionaire head coach.
Also, hey, tweet at us or whatever. I'm curious how that Toy Story broadcast was for the Atlanta game. I obviously don't have a child. Corey's child is now grown up, so we weren't tuning into it. But let me know how that was, everybody. Appreciate it.
Shout out to Brady Clark before we get out of here. He got his phone back after a month off, a month hiatus.
Gosh.
Had his phone back.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Crazy, man.
Jeez.
It was funny. So me and Stephanie dropped him off, and she said when she asked him about his phone, because we dropped him off at his mom's, and he was scared that his mom hadn't brought because she wasn't there. He's like, if she hit it and I can't find it, I'm going to be so mad. I'm not going to be able to explain it. It was right there on the kitchen table when we walked in.
Nice.
And Stephanie said she hadn't seen him smile like that since he was 10 years old. It was the biggest smile he had in half a decade was him having his phone. And then he proceeded to talk to I was going to say her name, but I won't do that. A girl for the better part of Sunday. All
right. He's back. Good, man. Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Back in the saddle.
Awesome. All right, we're going to go to a press conference. Corey's going to transcribe the whole thing. We'll have all the interviews up as well, some takeaways. Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 3 o'clock. We'll be back with another show for you folks on Tuesday. Live show Thursday, Corey?
Yeah, probably. Brady's actually coming into town, but yeah, I think we can do it then.
Everyone's coming into town. Dignitaries from Ireland are going to be in town for this one. It's going to be a good one.
All right, the Hokies?
Yeah, 3:30. Make it down to Tallahassee, everybody. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant. It's been far too long, though. Have a great day, everybody.